You can have the best heart in the world and you can be trying to do your best and to help people, but if you're not bringing along the people you're trying to help in the process, then you're really just doing things to people. And that's, I didn't move here to do things to people. I grew up in Arkansas, graduated high school, went to Bible college not far from where I grew up. And while we were there, started getting plugged into a little neighborhood not far from where we were going to school, found a vacant lot. We started kicking a ball around, and here comes a kid, and here comes another kid, and here comes another kid. Eventually we've got like 10 kids that we're playing soccer with, and we said, that was pretty cool. Like, we'll just come back next week and we'll do it again. And as we were coming up on graduation, we said, let's just move somewhere and do this for real. Let's buy a house, move into a neighborhood that needs good neighbors, and just see if being a good neighbor can change a community. We started looking at the map and trying to figure out where we wanted to go. Ultimately, I'm not a very patient person, and I got tired of talking. And so I just told my group of friends, I said, I'm just gonna sell what doesn't fit into my car. I'm gonna drive to Detroit. I'm gonna go figure it out. And they all said, great, you first. And so I got here and got plugged in at Kensington. I was an intern there for a while. Got pulled into a number of different directions, and one of those places was Pontiac. And we found this house and bought it, moved in, and called my friends and said, I bought a house in Pontiac, Michigan. Let's do it. You can look at a census and decide what a neighborhood needs. You can look at maps and data and whatever and decide what a neighborhood needs. But until we heard it from the community, until we heard it from people in the neighborhood that that was actually something they wanted, or that was a space that they actually cared about, then we weren't going to jump in and try and force anything. The needs in this neighborhood are legion. There's so many things. It's schools, it's transportation, it's jobs, it's crime, but we can't do all of those things. We don't have the resources to do everything that needs to happen. And so we're just gonna let the neighborhood decide what percolates to the top in terms of the greatest need and the things that people around here care about the most. We heard over and over again from people in this neighborhood, food. Food was an issue. Food access was incredibly frustrating, largely because of food and health issues. Life expectancy in this neighborhood is 64 years. And that was a pretty big space that we thought we could work in. And there's all this vacant land. There are vacant lots all over the neighborhood where there used to be a house that burned down or got demolished for whatever reason. And so we went to the county, how much is a vacant lot? And they said, well, we don't really sell a whole lot of vacant lots. How about $10? And I said, I think I have $80. And so we bought 8 vacant lots around the neighborhood. And when we were talking to neighbors about a garden, we had neighbors who jumped in and said, oh, I know how to go grow green beans and cucumbers and collards and kale. The people here already knew how to grow stuff. They just needed the here to there, which was a little bit of resources to build a space to grow. And that first year we grew 500 pounds of food. The next year we grew 1,200. We would pick and then make up bags and go and hang them on doors in apartment buildings around the neighborhood. And so a lot of times we were feeding people before we ever actually met them, which was pretty cool. We've been growing now for 8 years, and we're growing on about 1.25 acres. So we're the largest by size and the oldest food growing operation in the city of Pontiac. So we have the gardens, and as we've been adding and growing the gardens over the years, we've needed more and more help. At some point, we realized if we wanted to keep growing food, if we wanted to keep providing more and more food for more and more people in the community and in the city, we needed to add space, and we needed to add help. And so I reached out to Becky and said, hey, if there's ever anybody at Kensington who's looking for volunteer opportunities, we'd love to have them in the garden.
There's tons of different ways volunteers can plug in. It's helping with the community gardens, neighborhood cleanups, tutoring the kids in their after-school programs. There's a lot of community events that Micah 6 does where they bring in resources for the neighborhood, and so you can come alongside those events. Kensington created the Move Out Network about 3 years ago, and it's a place where people can visit on the website and they can look at all the different teams out in the community that are loving their neighbors and volunteering, and you can join teams through the Move Out Network.
We started having conversations with our neighbors about, what do you want to see in this building? Did a big community survey, ask people what they wanted to see. If we were turn this building into a community center, 72% of people said the kids need a place to play basketball in the winter. that there's no gyms in this neighborhood that you can walk to. Mostly what folks focused on was 4 things, which was health and wellness stuff, youth activities, entrepreneurship, and arts and culture activities. The gym is, I think, literally, but also metaphorically, like the heart of that building. It's right in the center, it's in the middle of everything, and we have so many organizations who, when they walk in and they see that gym, they go, yes, it's got a stage. It's got these beautiful vaulted ceilings. That's where you used to have roller skating nights. That's where you used to have your movie nights. That's where we'll have community meetings. That's where we'll have our small farm market. That gym is definitely the coolest spot in the building. I think it'll be the most utilized space in the building. There should be something going on in there all the time.
I think Coleman and his team have really built trust. And so when he is casting vision for this community center, there are people that want to come alongside because they see the fruit. There's more community, there's less crime, there's more people staying in their housing for longer periods of time. Just so many beautiful examples of what has happened as a result of them being in the community.
Today, we have 100% of our space committed with 6 organizations on a waiting list. And that includes, ULSA's going to put 7 Head Start classrooms in. They're going to put a WIC office in. The Art Experience is coming in. Accent Pontiac's coming in. PAL's coming in. Sprout is going to move over and become a full grocery store, which will take this neighborhood completely off of the food desert list, which is pretty cool. And Kaleo Kids is going to come in and do dance and music with their kids there. My favorite thing to do is get all of our tenants together because they're already creating plans together where, what if Saturday just looks like a kid comes in, they go to an art class, and they go to their music class, and they go to dance class, then they come and play basketball, then they eat lunch, and then they go do this, and then they leave for the day. And it's like a whole built-out Saturday program. Like that our tenants are already talking about ways to work together to make life better for kids in this neighborhood. The name comes from Micah 6:8. The Jewish people, they're having a conversation with God and saying, God, we're doing all the stuff that you asked us to do. We're doing the sacrifices. We're going to temple, but we don't really seem to be getting any blessings. And God said I didn't really want any of that. I wanted you to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with me. In terms of 3 ideas that were going to be guiding principles for us, justice, that a lot of the things that we're working on are issues of justice. It's not fair that because you live here, you're going to die 20 years earlier than people in surrounding communities. It's not fair that because you live here, the expectation is that your housing is substandard. It's not fair that just because you live here, the quality of education for you and the opportunities that your kids are going to have is going to be different. We needed a lot of mercy, that we were 6 college-educated white kids moving into this neighborhood and trying to help, and that even though that's what we were after and that was the heart, we knew we were still going to run into things and say stupid things and do things we thought were good ideas that weren't great ideas, and so we needed a lot of mercy from our neighbors as we sort of figured those things out together. And then the humility was also that we need to be listening. We need to know when an idea is not working and give it up. We need to know that we need to always kind of have our ear to the community and sort of let the neighborhood guide the things that we do that way. Anytime we have a group of volunteers here, I always tell them, we have a long list of things to do today, but I didn't move here for long lists. I moved here for my neighbors. And so some kids are going to run up and they're going to want to play, and a neighbor's going to walk up and ask you where you're from and why you're here and what you're doing, and want to know more about you. And so if that happens, put down your tools, put down whatever you're using, and hang out. Get to know my neighbors, get to talk to the people in this community, because that's way more important than anything we're going to get done in the garden today. They check in on us. They're always worried about us. The number of people from this neighborhood who showed up at my house with presents when I had a kid, I'll be here forever. And it's a great place to have a family. It's a great place to work. It's a great place to raise a kid. We're loving it, having a great time.
To do justice, to love mercy, to walk humbly with your God. This is an amazing vision. And this is just one of the Kensington Move Out teams that is connecting to people following Jesus Christ to meet needs all over our community, all over our region. I'm speaking to so many of you that are on these teams, but we're seeing more of these teams develop all the time. And when you make a year-end Christmas gift to Kensington, you're making a gift to people that are bringing hope out of despair, and where you're bringing light into places where people are just discouraged and have given up the dreams of their life. And we get to be dream restorers with Jesus Christ in these communities. And I really believe that one of the greatest parts of what Kensington is now doing is seeing move-out teams starting all the time that are being birthed out of the burdens of your heart. And as you see people, as you realize there are needs that God has enabled you, along with others, to meet, we get to step into those places. What a joy to invest together in what Jesus Christ is doing.